The conference room at my father's headquarters had been designed to intimidate. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, the mahogany table could seat 20, and every chair cost more than most people's monthly rent. I sat in the one farthest from the head of the table, where I'd been sitting at family meetings since I turned 18. Today was different though. Today, all 15 voting members of the Harrison Family Trust had been summoned. My father, Richard Harrison, sat at the head like a king holding court. My mother, Patricia, perched beside him with her perfectly manicured nails drumming against her leather portfolio. My 3 older brothers, Marcus, Jonathan, and Stephen, flanked them like lieutenants. My sister Victoria sat across from me, not meeting my eyes. The extended family filled the other seats. Uncle Thomas and Aunt Margaret. Cousins Bradley, Amanda, and Jennifer. My father's business partners who'd married into the family. Everyone who mattered in the Harrison empire. Everyone except me, apparently. "Thank you all for coming on such short notice," my father began, his voice carrying that boardroom authority that had built a commercial real estate empire worth $800 million. "We're here to discuss a necessary change to the family trust structure." I sipped my water and waited. "As you know," he continued, "the Harrison Family Trust was established to protect and grow our collective wealth, to ensure that future generations of successful Harrisons continue to thrive." Marcus leaned forward. "Successful being the key word, Dad." Several people chuckled. I noticed Victoria shift uncomfortably in her seat. My mother opened her leather portfolio with a crisp snap. "The trust currently includes all direct descendants and spouses. However, we need to implement performance standards. This is a business legacy, not a charity." "We've been discussing this for months," Uncle Thomas added, his jowls shaking as he spoke. "The trust should only benefit those who contribute to the family's success." I knew where this was going. I'd known since the invitation arrived yesterday with "mandatory attendance" written across the top. Jonathan pulled up a presentation on the screen behind my father. "Let's review current family contributions to the Harrison enterprise." The first slide showed Marcus's photo next to Vice President of Development. 47 properties acquired, $340 million in value. "Marcus has been instrumental in our expansion into the Southeast markets," my father said proudly. Next came Jonathan's slide. "Chief Financial Officer, secured $500 million in financing, reduced operational costs by 18%. Then Stevens, Director of Construction, completed 23 projects under budget and ahead of schedule. Victoria's slide appeared. Marketing Director, increased brand recognition by 64%, social media engagement up 200%. Each cousin had their own slide. Bradley managed the Chicago portfolio. Amanda oversaw property management across 12 states. Jennifer handled legal compliance. Then my slide appeared. The photo was from my college graduation. 7 years old now. Beside it, in small text, various positions currently unemployed. The room fell silent in that particular way that means everyone's been waiting for this moment. "Maya," my father said, and I heard the disappointment he'd perfected over 30 years of being my father. "We need to talk about your situation." "My situation," I repeated calmly. "You're 32 years old," my mother said, her voice sharp. "You've had every advantage. The best schools, connections, opportunities that other people would kill for. And what have you done with them?" Marcus asked. "You worked at the company for 6 months after college before quitting. You tried that nonprofit thing that went nowhere. You've been consulting for 3 years, which as far as we can tell means you're living off your trust distributions." I took another sip of water. My phone buzzed in my pocket, probably Richard Chin from Capital Meridian Bank, but I ignored it. "We've supported you," Jonathan continued. "We've been patient. But at some point, Maya, you have to contribute. This family isn't a welfare program." Uncle Thomas cleared his throat. "The girl has a degree from Wharton, for God's sake. She should be running something by now. Building something. Instead, you're a burden," Stephen said flatly. "Let's just call it what it is." Victoria finally spoke. "That's harsh, Stephen. But accurate," my mother interjected. "Sweetheart, we love you. But love doesn't mean enabling failure. The trust currently distributes $500,000 annually to each beneficiary. That's money that comes from our collective success. Money that you haven't earned. My father stood, commanding the room's attention. We've drafted an amendment to the trust documents. Beneficiaries must meet certain criteria to receive distributions. Management position within Harrison Enterprises, or documented annual income of at least $300,000 from outside sources, or ownership of property assets exceeding $2 million. I don't meet those criteria, I said quietly. No, my father agreed. You don't. Marcus pulled out another document. We're not kicking you out of the family, Maya. But the trust is for successful members only. People who've earned their place at this table. We're voting today, Jonathan announced, to remove Maya Harrison from the beneficiary list, effective immediately. My mother looked at me with something that might have been pity. This is for your own good, darling. Sometimes people need tough love to reach their potential. You'll thank us eventually, Uncle Thomas said, when you've finally built something of your own. Bradley raised his hand. I moved to vote on the amendment. Seconded, Amanda added immediately. My father looked around the table. All in favor of removing Maya Harrison as a trust beneficiary? 15 hands went up. Only Victoria hesitated before slowly raising hers too. The motion passes unanimously, my father declared. Maya, you're removed from the trust effective today. Your final distribution will be processed this month. I nodded slowly. Can I say something? My mother sighed. Maya, we've made our decision. Arguing won't. I'm not arguing, I said calmly. I just want to understand the timeline. When exactly does this take effect? Today, Marcus said firmly. Effective immediately means immediately. So by close of business today, I'm no longer a trust beneficiary. That's correct, my father confirmed. My phone buzzed again. This time I pulled it out and glanced at the screen. Richard Chin had sent 3 messages. So had Catherine Morrison from Silver Lake Capital. And David Kumar from my investment fund. Thank you for clarifying, I said, standing up. Is there anything else? My mother blinked. That's it? You're not going to argue? Defend yourself. What would I say? I asked. You've made your decision based on the information you have. I respect that. Stephen frowned. You're taking this awfully well. I'm 32 years old, I said. I should probably stop depending on family money anyway. You're right about that. My father actually looked disappointed that I wasn't fighting. Well, good. I'm glad you're being mature about this. The trust documents will be filed with our attorneys by end of day, Jonathan added. Your access to the trust information portal will be revoked at 5 p.m. Understood, I said. If we're done here, I have some calls to make. I walked out of the conference room with my head up and my phone already ringing in my hand. The elevator doors closed behind me and I answered Richard Chen's call. Maya, thank God, he said immediately. I've been trying to reach you for an hour. We just received notice that Harrison Enterprises is trying to draw down the full $200 million credit line we have with them. They're citing a major acquisition in Miami. I stepped out into the parking garage. When did the request come through? 20 minutes ago. But here's the thing. You required us to notify you of any draws exceeding $50 million. That's in the loan covenants. I remember. Maya, if they pull $200 million right now, they'll be at 87% leverage across all their credit facilities. One market downturn and they're in serious trouble. I unlocked my car and sat in the driver's seat, not starting the engine yet. Richard, who's the actual borrower on that credit line? Harrison Enterprises, LLC. And who guaranteed the loan? You did. Personally. The full $200 million is backed by your guarantee and the collateral in your investment portfolio. And who has the contractual right to freeze or terminate the credit line? Richard paused. You do. As the guarantor, you have the right to pull your guarantee with 30 days' notice, which would trigger an immediate repayment requirement. Send me the loan documents, I said. All of them. Maya, are you thinking of pulling the guarantee? Just send them. I need to review some things. I hung up and immediately called Catherine Morrison at Silver Lake Capital. Maya. Catherine answered on the first ring. Did you get my messages? Harrison Enterprises is trying to execute on that option to buy out the minority stake in their Chicago portfolio company. Let me guess, I said. They need board approval. Yes. Emergency board meeting called for Monday. They're offering $180 million for full acquisition of Lakefront Properties Group. They claim they have financing in place. Do they? According to their CFO, yes. But Maya, you control 40% of LPG through your Silver Lake investments. You have board seats. They can't do this without your vote. I pulled up my portfolio on my phone. Through various investment vehicles, shell companies, and strategic acquisitions over the past 7 years, I'd built positions in 17 companies. My family didn't know because I'd used my mother's maiden name, Maya Thornton, for all my business dealings. My Wharton professors had helped me set up the structures during business school. The nonprofit I tried that went nowhere had been a preliminary vehicle that I'd later dissolved, moving those assets into more sophisticated holdings. The consulting work my family mocked? I advised 3 venture capital firms on real estate tech investments. My fee was equity stakes instead of cash. Catherine, I need you to send me something, I said. A complete analysis of Harrison Enterprises' debt structure. Every credit line, every mortgage, every bond issuance. I want to know who holds what and when it comes due. That's going to take some time. You have until 5 p.m. today. Maya, that's less than 6 hours. I know. Call in your whole team if you need to. Bill me whatever it costs. My phone buzzed with another call. David Kumar from my investment fund. Catherine, I have to go. Send me what you find. I switched over. David. Maya, what the hell is going on? David asked. I just got a very aggressive call from Jonathan Harrison asking about our investment criteria for the Harrison Real Estate Innovation Fund. I smiled despite myself. The HRF was something I'd put together 3 years ago. It invested in prop-tech startups and provided bridge financing for real estate developments. My family thought it was run by some California venture capital firm. They didn't know I'd provided 100% of the capital. All $300 million of it. What did Jonathan want? I asked. He's claiming that Harrison Enterprises is entitled to preferential investment terms because of the family name. He wants a $75 million commitment for their Miami expansion at a below-market rate. What did you tell him? I told him I'd have to consult with our managing partner. He got very pushy. Said the Harrison family built this industry and deserved respect. I almost laughed, Maya. The man has no idea he's talking about you. Keep it that way for now, I said. Deny the investment request. Cite insufficient collateral and over-leverage concerns. Consider it done. But Maya, I have to ask, is something happening? 3 calls in one day about Harrison Enterprises, all of them desperate for capital. Just a family meeting, I said. Nothing to worry about. I hung up and sat in my car thinking. My phone showed 1:47 p.m. By 5 p.m. today, my father's attorneys would file the trust amendment removing me as a beneficiary. By 5 p.m. today, Harrison Enterprises would realize they couldn't access the capital they needed for their Miami acquisition. By 5 p.m. today, my family would start understanding that something had gone very, very wrong. But they wouldn't know what. Not yet. I started my car and drove to my condo in the financial district. Not the fancy penthouse my parents expected. They didn't know I'd sold that years ago. This was a modest 2-bedroom that I'd bought under my business name. My real office was here in the 2nd bedroom that my family had never seen. 3 monitors. Direct feeds to 4 investment banks. Real-time portfolio tracking worth just over $800 million. I'd built it piece by piece, starting with the $2 million inheritance from my grandmother when I was 23. The same grandmother who'd told me, "Your father thinks money is power. He's wrong. Money is protection. Never let anyone know how much you have until you need to use it." I'd invested in prop tech companies before they went public. I'd provided mezzanine financing to developers my father rejected. I'd bought minority stakes in companies my brothers thought were too small to matter. And over 7 years, I'd quietly become the largest outside investor in the Harrison family empire. I pulled up my complete portfolio. $200 million credit line to Harrison Enterprises, guaranteed by me. 40% ownership in Lakefront Properties Group through Silver Lake Capital. $75 million in convertible debt held by Harrison Development Partners. 30% ownership in Harrison Construction Supply Company. Strategic investments in 12 of Harrison Enterprises' vendor companies. If I totaled it up, I had direct or indirect influence over $680 million of my family's $800 million empire. They thought I was unemployed. They thought I was a burden. They thought the trust distribution of $500,000 per year was charity. They had no idea that I'd been subsidizing their growth for 7 years. My phone rang. Victoria. Maya, she said quietly. I'm sorry about today. That was brutal. It's fine, Vic. It's not fine. They humiliated you. And I just sat there and voted with them. You did what you had to do. Are you okay? Do you need anything? I looked at my monitors showing real-time updates on my family's complete financial structure. I'm fine. Really. Come to dinner this weekend. Just us. I'll cook. Maybe, I said. I might be busy. Busy with what? Maya, I know you're probably devastated right now, but maybe this is a good thing. Maybe it'll motivate you too. I have to go, Vic. Another call coming in. I hung up and answered the unknown number. Is this Maya Thornton? A woman's voice asked. Speaking. This is Rebecca Walsh from Harrison Enterprises Accounting. I'm calling about some irregularities in our credit line documentation with Capital Meridian Bank. The paperwork lists you as a guarantor, but that doesn't make sense. Do you know a Maya Harrison? I smiled. I am Maya Harrison. Thornton is my business name. Silence. You're Richard Harrison's daughter? That's correct. But, you guaranteed our $200 million credit line? Yes. The entire line? Yes. More silence. Then, I need to call you back. She hung up. I checked my watch, 3:15 p.m. My email dinged. Catherine Morrison had sent her analysis. I opened it and started reading. Harrison Enterprises debt structure. $200 million credit line with Capital Meridian, my guarantee. $150 million in corporate bonds, held by institutional investors including funds I had influence with. $180 million in property-specific mortgages, held by banks where I had relationships. $75 million in vendor financing from companies where I held equity stakes. Total debt, $605 million. Current assets, $800 million in real estate holdings. It looked solid. Except, the Miami acquisition they were announcing would cost $220 million. They'd need to draw $200 million from the credit line and secure another $20 million in bridge financing. The Chicago buyout of Lakefront Properties Group would cost $180 million. The Southeast expansion they'd announced last month needed $90 million. Total, $490 million in capital needed. They thought they had it lined up. But every single source of that capital either ran through me or required my approval. My phone rang again. Jonathan. Maya, I need to talk to you about something, he said, his CFO voice in full effect. We're getting some strange inquiries from our banking partners. Do you know anything about a Maya Thornton? That's my business name, I said calmly. Your what? My business name. I use it for investments. Why the hell would you need a business name? You don't have a business. Actually, I do. Several, technically. Maya, this isn't funny. Our bank is telling us that you personally guaranteed our credit line. That's impossible, right? You don't have that kind of money. Jonathan, did you ever wonder where I got the capital to live in the city? To travel? To maintain my lifestyle without a job? The trust distributions are $500,000 per year. I spend about $100,000 annually. Where did you think the rest went? Silence. Maya, what are you saying? I'm saying that grandmother left me $2 million when I was 23. I invested it. I've been investing it for 9 years. I've been very successful. How successful? Successful enough to guarantee a $200 million credit line. I heard him breathing hard on the other end. You're telling me you have $200 million? I'm telling me I have enough assets to guarantee a $200 million loan. There's a difference. Jesus Christ. Does Dad know? Nobody knows. I use my business name for everything. I thought it was better that way. Maya, we need that credit line. We have major deals closing. Can you confirm with the bank that everything's fine? I could do that, I said slowly. But Jonathan, I'm not a trust beneficiary anymore, remember? As of today, I'm no longer part of the successful family. Why would I guarantee your loans? The line went dead quiet. Maya. Your accounting department will be calling back soon. She seemed confused about the documentation. You might want to clarify things with her. I hung up. 4:23 p.m. My email dinged again. Richard Chin from Capital Meridian. Maya, Jonathan Harrison just called demanding we process the credit draw immediately. He claims there's been a misunderstanding. He's threatening to move their banking relationship if we don't comply. Need your instructions ASAP. I typed back. Hold the draw until we speak tomorrow. I need to review the guarantee terms. Another email, this one from my attorney Margaret Santos. Maya, just received an urgent call from Harrison Enterprises legal counsel. They want to schedule a meeting with you immediately. They're asking about your investment holdings. I told them you were unavailable until Monday. Advised? I replied, perfect. No meetings until Monday. I'll brief you tomorrow. My phone started ringing continuously. Marcus, Stephen, Uncle Thomas, my mother, my father. I silenced it and turned back to my monitors. At 4:47 p.m. my email exploded. Capital Meridian Bank formally notifying Harrison Enterprises that the $200 million credit line was frozen pending guarantor review. Silver Lake Capital notifying Harrison Enterprises that the Lakefront Properties Group board had denied the buyout proposal due to insufficient financing. Harrison Real Estate Innovation Fund formally rejecting Harrison Enterprises' investment request. 3 vendors sending notices that payment terms were being revised due to leverage concerns. At 5 p.m. exactly, I received an email from my father's attorney confirming that the trust amendment had been filed. At 5:03 p.m. my father called for the 15th time. I answered. Maya. His voice was different now. Tight. Controlled. We need to talk. About what? Don't play games. I just got off the phone with Capital Meridian. They're saying you guaranteed our credit line. I did. And you're refusing to authorize the draw. I'm not refusing. I'm reviewing. That's my right as guarantor. Maya, we have $490 million in deals that need to close in the next 60 days. If we can't access that capital, you should have thought about that before you removed me from the trust. Silence. Long, heavy silence. This is about today, he said finally. This is about business, Dad. You taught me that business and family are separate. Remember? You said it at every single family meeting I've ever attended. Maya, listen to me. No, Dad. You listen. You called me a burden today. In front of the entire family. You said I hadn't earned my place. That I hadn't contributed. We didn't know. You didn't know because you never asked. You assumed. You saw what you wanted to see. Maya, please. We can fix this. We'll reverse the trust amendment. It's 5:03 p.m. on Friday, I said. Your legal team filed the amendment 3 minutes ago. I'm no longer a beneficiary. By your own rules, I'm not successful enough to be part of this family. That's not. So starting Monday morning I'm going to call Richard Chin at Capital Meridian. I'm going to exercise my right as guarantor to pull my guarantee with 30 days notice. That will trigger immediate repayment of $200 million. Maya. Then I'm going to call Catherine Morrison at Silver Lake Capital. I'm going to vote against any and all expansion proposals from Harrison Enterprises at the Lakefront Properties Group board meeting. You can't. Then I'm going to call David Kumar at the Harrison Real Estate Innovation Fund. I'm going to shut down the fund and recall all committed capital. My father's breathing was ragged. You'd destroy the company. I'd destroy your ability to expand, I corrected. You'd still have your existing properties, your current revenue streams. You just have to operate on a much smaller scale. Like a family business instead of an empire. Maya, I'm your father. And today you told me I wasn't successful enough to be part of your trust. So I'm just following your lead. I'm separating business from family. Exactly like you taught me. What do you want? I don't want anything, Dad. This isn't a negotiation. Everyone makes mistakes. Yes, they do. You made 15 of them today. 1 for every person who voted to remove me. I hung up. My phone immediately rang again. This time it was Marcus. Maya, Dad just told me what's happening. This is insane. You're going to bankrupt the company over hurt feelings. I'm not going to bankrupt anything, I said calmly. I'm just withdrawing my financial support. Since I'm not a trust beneficiary anymore, why would I continue to support the family business? Because you're family. Am I? Today everyone agreed I wasn't successful enough to be called family. Stephen specifically used the word burden. So I'm just removing the burden. Jesus Christ, Maya. Do you have any idea how many people you'd hurt? Employees? Vendors? Investors? About as many people as would be hurt if the company over-leveraged itself with $490 million in new acquisitions, I said. I'm actually protecting the company from a reckless expansion plan. This is revenge. This is business. You taught me that. Remember when you told me I needed to understand that family sentiment has no place in business decisions? I'm finally taking your advice. Marcus hung up. My phone rang 4 more times. Jonathan. Stephen. Uncle Thomas. Victoria. I ignored all of them. At 6:47 p.m. my doorbell rang. I checked the camera. My mother stood in the hallway, still in her business suit from the meeting. I opened the door. Maya, she said quietly. Can I come in? I stepped aside. She walked in and stopped, staring at my setup. 3 monitors. Financial terminals. Real-time market data. This is where you work, she said. Yes. She turned to face me. Your father is in his office having a panic attack. Marcus broke a glass. Jonathan's blood pressure is through the roof. The lawyers are scrambling. 3 board members are demanding emergency meetings. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you? She asked. Are you sorry, Maya? Or is this exactly what you wanted? I didn't want anything, I said. I was perfectly happy letting you all think I was unemployed. It made my life simpler. Why didn't you tell us? Would it have mattered? Would you have listened? Or would you have told me I was doing it wrong? That I should work for the family company instead? That my investments weren't as impressive as Marcus's deals or Jonathan's financial engineering? My mother sat down on my couch. We were wrong today. Yes. We humiliated you. Yes. And now you're going to destroy everything your father built. No, I said. I'm going to let him survive on what he built without my money. If the company can't survive without my backing, then it was never as strong as you all thought. Paya, please. Mom, I have over $800 million in assets. I built that from $2 million in less than 10 years. I did it quietly, carefully, strategically. I didn't brag. I didn't demand recognition. I just did the work. We didn't know. Because you didn't look. You saw what you expected to see. A disappointment. A burden. Someone who needed tough love and hard lessons. My mother's eyes filled with tears. What do you want us to do? I want you to understand that success doesn't look the same for everyone. I want you to understand that not being visible doesn't mean not being valuable. I want you to understand that you don't get to decide who's worthy based on job titles and org charts. Can we fix this? I looked at her. My mother, who'd never asked me about my life. Who'd never wondered what I did all day. Who'd assumed that because I wasn't in the family company, I wasn't doing anything important. The trust amendment is filed, I said. I'm officially not a beneficiary anymore. That was the family's decision. We'll reverse it. Will you? Or will you reverse it because you need my money? She didn't answer. That's what I thought, I said. Go home, Mom. Tell Dad I'll call him Monday morning. We'll discuss terms then. Terms. Business terms. Since we're separating business from family, let's do it properly. She stood up slowly. At the door she turned back. I'm sorry, Maya. Truly. I know, I said. But sorry doesn't fix systemic disrespect. She left. I closed the door and looked at my monitors. Harrison Enterprises stock price. They'd gone public 2 years ago, had dropped 4% in after-hours trading. Someone had leaked that their expansion plans were in jeopardy. My phone buzzed with a text from Victoria. I don't understand what's happening, but I know you didn't deserve what happened today. I love you. I texted back, I love you too. See you soon. Then I drafted an email to my attorney. Margaret, Monday morning I want to schedule meetings with Capital Meridian, Silver Lake Capital, and Harrison Real Estate Innovation Fund. I'll be restructuring my relationship with Harrison Enterprises. Please prepare documentation for the following. 1. Modification of personal guarantee to include oversight requirements 2. Formalization of board seat at Lakefront Properties Group 3. Conversion of all vendor company equity stakes to voting shares 4. Establishment of independent financial review of Harrison Enterprises expansion plans. I'll also need you to draft a formal business separation agreement between myself and all Harrison family entities. Let's discuss terms tomorrow. Why? I hit send. Then I opened a bottle of wine, sat on my balcony and watched the city lights. They thought they were removing a burden. They were about to learn they'd removed their foundation. And on Monday morning we'd start building something new. On my terms this time.